Hi, it's Jen. Today I wanted to share with you something that I came up with. I had a watcher, Susan Richards, suggest a video about using up our book papers or book pages. And so Susan, thank you so much for that suggestion. I will be doing many more videos on that subject, and as well as today's video. The book that you see in front of you, this is the book I'm using right now, the book pages that I'm using up. I got this at a secondhand store, and I really like the book because the pages are pretty substantial as it is, and then when you tea dye it, it becomes even more substantial. And so I'm just going to share with you today a project that I came up with for using up our book papers. And this is just one idea. I do have many more coming, but this is just one of the ideas that I had. Alright, to get started, all I did was this book. My thrift store, they usually have a sale on books where you buy them by the foot. And so usually when they have that sale, I like to bulk up on these type of books because I can use them for my junk journaling, and then they don't cost as much. So, and I do like to use cookbooks, garden books, and crochet books for junk journaling, because then that way I don't have to worry about any words that are on the page or what have you. But you can use any book pages that you want, that you're trying to use up. This is just the books that I've decided to use. So the first thing I did is I ripped out a whole bunch from the book, and then what I do is I tea dye them. And then that way I have a bunch on hand, and then any time when I need them for a junk journal or for ephemera, they're always at a hand's reach. And so that's what I did, is I used these book pages for this project, and I'm going to show you the project that I created. Now, this is just a tag that I put together, and how I came up with it was I was cleaning up my desk, and do you know how you have little bits and bobs all around your desk? And I'm like, I really need to figure out a project that I could create using up all these pieces. And so this is what I came up with. This could also be called like a shaker tag, and if you go look up on YouTube, there's a lot of shaker cards out there where people use sequins, they use beads, they use glitter, a whole bunch of different supplies to make up a shaker card. Well, I thought I'd make up a shaker card for us junk journalers using up our scraps. And so I'm going to show you the tin that I have. As I was cleaning my desk, this is just an old tin. It doesn't look all that nice, but inside it's pretty clean. Well, it is clean. I'll just put it under there. And then what I do is I put all my material bits in there, and I also put a dryer sheet in there just to keep it so it doesn't get like a tinny smell. Because all my material is washed, but I don't want it to get like a tinny smell from the tin, if there is one. So I got my tin out, started cleaning off my desk, and this is what I came up with. And so I'm going to go just step by step really how I made this. So the first thing I did is I got my pages out, and I cut it in a tag shape. Now the tag shape is, I use this one, this size here, and the thinlits that I'm using are the Tim Holtz tags from Sizzix. And there's 8 pieces in this set, and I use the medium tag. As you can see here, there's a large, medium, and a small. I use the medium here. But again, you can use whatever size that you want. You can even go for a larger one. I decided to stay on the medium size. And so, first of all, I cut all that out. And so I had a page from the book, from a tea-dyed page, And then because the page, it has a good weight to it, but I knew it wouldn't be substantial enough because I'm going to be adding some bits and bobs in it. And also I wanted to do some journaling. I wanted this to be useful in our junk journal. So if you look on the back, it's a journal tag, so you can write all over the back of it. And so I thought it was kind of fun on the front, and on the back you get your journaling space. And so what I decided to do is I decided to use a white piece of cardstock tea-dyed. So I cut one of those out, and then I also cut out from that Thinlit is a transparency sheet. Now I will say this just to let you know, I had problems cutting out my transparency sheet with the Thinlit, and so I ran it through a couple times and it still didn't pass through, but it had the lines there. And to be honest, I just took scissors and I just finished it myself. You can get 6 tags out of one transparency sheet using the medium tag die, well, Thinlit, just so you know. So the tag consists of those 3 pieces. And then what else I did is I got these white reinforcements from the Dollar Tree. I keep these on hand. And then I used, I'll bring this out here. And then I used the archival ink, the Ranger, and potting soil. And then I just used my ink dauber and then inked them all up. And so that's the base of our tag. And so you're going to be using, and on your this size of a sheet, I can get, I'll just show you right here, you can get 4 tags. Just with that. I would have to do 2 medium and then 2 of the smaller ones. And so you can get 4 tags out of just this one. And then if you don't want to make a lot of shaker ones, you can also just put gesso over top of it, because when you put gesso over top of the words or what have you, you can write over top of it. Now I don't have gesso, I just use white acrylic paint that I get from the dollar store, and that works fine for me. But just use what you have on hand. So that's another idea, but for today I'm gonna try not to stray from my the one that I have going here. So after you have those all readied and cut out, the next thing that I did was I put the reinforcements on my tags right away. So I'll do that right now. And I'm going to try to get it so they're equal. And now the other thing that I did is that I did ink all around the edges. And the only other thing I would say is just to keep an eye out that you're putting it on the right side of your tag. The reinforcements. And there we go. And then you put your reinforcements on there. And then what I did is I used some repositionable tape. And then all I did was I put a little bit on the back. And then I put these 2 pieces back to back, wrong side to wrong side, and then I stuck them together. And I liked using the repositionable tape because that way, if I make a mistake, I can rip it off and try again. And then I'm not ruining my paper that I spent time tea dyeing, that I took to cut it out and to ink it up and whatnot. So having this repositionable tape in your craft room, I think for me is a plus. You can find it at your dollar stores a lot of the time. That's where I got mine. Alright, so after you have those 2 back to back, then what I did, I just brought my transparency in. I had those 2 ready, and then I decided what shapes I wanted to cut. Now the one that I'm showing you right here, I have a few on the go, because once I started going, I was having a lot of fun, and then I tried to use my imagination and whatever. But the one that I'm showing you here today is I used a flower shape. Now I'm going to be sharing with you under the under here in the description what stamps, or I should say the punches that I used, so if you're curious. So I will have that down below. I know they don't sell them anymore, but I know you can find them on eBay once in a while. All right, and so I wanted to show you the bits that I put in my shaker card. Now the first one paper I used, now this is really great, so get out your scrap paper bin, and because I know all of us junk journalers have one, paper crafters, we always have a scrap paper bin, and that's what you're using up all your scraps. And so what I did is I had an old dictionary page, just little pieces that I started cutting up, and then I had pieces of craft paper. This is natural paper right here. This is parchment paper. Junk journalers, we always have lots of that. And then just a scrap paper of just plain tea-dyed paper. So that's all the papers that I personally use, but you can also use leftover scrapbooking paper. You can use whatever paper you have, you can use. And if you have scraps from cutting out your tags, you can even use that as well. So the sky's the limit. Just whatever you have in your scrap bin, just use whatever. Now I did want to just share with you quickly, for those who are not aware, when you are cutting out of parchment paper, you're going to need to put a backing. So here's this parchment paper that I used. You can't just take a punch to parchment paper. You need to put a piece of cardstock behind it, and then it will punch out like a dream. Now this was just a scrap paper that I had, and so I like to keep these so that way if I need to punch something out like of parchment paper or whatnot, I have something that I can use. So if you have something that is didn't work out with cardstock, I would keep it in your scrap paper bin so that way on occasions like this you have something to use. I hope that made sense. And then the butterfly I used out of glitter paper. I had a scrap of that one, so I used that. And I did, now for all of the flowers, I did 11 flowers for each. And then for the butterfly, I just did 3. And then for the kind of glitter for the shaker card, I use scrap ribbon, scrapped lace, some natural twine, and then this is cross-stitch thread, and then this is bias tape. Now, these pieces were on my desk, and I had scraps, and so if you want to use your brand new laces and whatnot, you do you. But the reason I use these is because I could see them, and I did my card monochromatic, meaning all the same color, but you can do 2 or 3 colors for sure, whatever you enjoy. But today I just wanted to do the different shades of purple in this one. And so, because I had a lot of different purple things. And the bias tape, I just cut on an angle to get a triangle, because I thought that looked kind of neat. And so I just took my scraps out of my tub there, and I just searched through it and just used what I had. And then I mixed it all up together, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And then once you get all of these mixed up, so again, before I go on, I used 11 of each flower. So there's 5 flowers here and 11 each. That's 55 flowers I used. The sparkle butterflies, I only did 3. And then all these bits and bobs, I just did it to eye. I didn't count them, to be honest. I just kept on cutting until it looked full and enough. And so you just have to keep on cutting until when you like it. All right. And so once you have all of those cut out, what you do is the very first thing I did is I used my sewing clips. And so these two tags are stuck together now because of our repositionable tape. And so what I did is, the first thing I did is I put all 3 pieces together. I lined it up right away, and then I sewed around the circle, the hole right here for the ribbon. I sewed around that 2 or 3 times. And when you do a project like this, you want to make sure that you backstitch so that way your threads don't come loose, because I know with a couple that I did, I didn't bother to backstitch, and I should have. And so even on a smaller project like this, you want to backstitch your sewing when you sew so that way it doesn't come undone. So yeah, I just sewed 3 times actually all around on top of the reinforcement. And then after I did that, and I did use these sewing clips when I sewed, so nothing moved. So you can put them wherever you like. I just did it this way. When I sewed, I just did that, and then once I had that circle all sewed around, because you wanna sew right there, because your confetti will come up here and go out the circle, the hole right there. And then after that, I just lifted up the transparency, put everything that I was putting in the tag, I spread it all out, put it down, and then I put the sewing clips back on, and then I sewed all around it. And that's it. That's all I did. And then after it's sewed, I got this. I'll show you the back so you can see. I sewed 3 times around it. And then what I really wanted to do is I wanted to put some zigzag stitch in there. And so I just picked a side, and I liked this side. And so I just did a zigzag stitch there. I didn't need to, but I just did it for added interest and texture. And then now you have a shaker card. And then I added, okay, I know this is silly, but I just love this button. I've been waiting to use it, and I know it's big, but I just love it. I don't know what it is about it, why I like it so much, but I got my buttons from an estate sale, and there's really pretty buttons in there, and this is one that I've been aching to use. And so, and I just love all the different colors of purple in this, but again, you can use whatever color you like. And then now you have a nice shaker tag, junk journal style. So this is one way that you can use up your book pages for the tag itself, and for the bobs inside the tag for the flowers. Now I wanted to do another one here to show you, because I had a lot of red stuff out on my desk, so I did a red one. And this one, I'm going to make a whole bunch of these and get them ready for Christmas and use them as my tags next year. And so I'm doing that actually right now, so that way they're done. So I will put up in a card here. I used my painted wood paper for this. For the, I won't explain it because I'll just link you to the video how I made it, the paper. And then what I used is I had scrap music paper, and I just got a circle punch, and I'll list down below how big the circles are, and then I just made it monochromatic the same way, and I did red this time. And I don't know if you can tell, but I added some, what is that called? I added rickrack in there too. Instead of bias tape, this time I added rickrack, and it looks like a V. So instead of dictionary paper here, I used music paper. So this is just one way that we can use up our book pages, using them for the actual tag and for using them for the inside of our shaker cards. So I hope you enjoyed this one little project using up our book paper. And I hope that you'll give it a try and maybe even share with me what yours look like. Well, before I let you go, I'm going to share with you something that I found at the Dollarama for those that are living in Canada. I found today this duct tape that it's silver and has kind of like a bluish tinge to it, and I thought it was just really pretty to put in my my stash to use when I journal. So I just wanted to give a heads up for those that are needing maybe like a silver color of some tape. Well, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you go into your craft room, make some of these tags up, and before I let you go, I'm gonna zoom in a little closer so that way you can get a good shot of these. Maybe that's too close. All right, and so here you go. That's what they look like. So let's not forget, let's not throw away our junk. Let's journal with it. Take care.